Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are happy you joined the last show. Now, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Valeria Basile. I'm Global Segment and Application Specialist at ABB Smart Building, and I'm very pleased to join Sebastiano today in the webinar.
Ciao Valeria, and thank you for being here with us.
Okay, so now in this session we will have today a special dig in the topic of energy management with a specific solution to create a smart sub-distribution board. Okay, so we will start from an investigation and a collection of major needs and requirements and expectations from building managers. So we can consider this laying in three different levels. So when it comes to expectations, there is a strong push toward regulatory compliance, both at national and international level. This means a strong need towards energy efficiency. This comes towards certification compliance to avoid fines, and also there are many stringent requirements that need to be fulfilled. On the second level, we have for sure economical advantages. So building managers are really looking into investments that are able, on the one side, to guarantee performance, on the other side, to have operations that are optimized as much as possible. Last but not least, there is for sure a strong importance on the topic of the CO2 footprint, and everything needs to be reduced in order to guarantee a more sustainable operation. So if we collect all this input into a bundle of the required features that a specific solution for energy management should have, we can see that presumably a solution should be scalable enough to fit any kind of building application. It should guarantee a compliance to all the energy efficiency standards in order to have an optimized energy consumption and guarantee savings. On the other side, we have the use of different devices, and they are able to collect data. So data today is very important, and having this data collection from field devices, it's important in order to enact some improved actions. For this reason, the flexible solutions need to also be paired with some digital tools that make relevant any kind of data collection in order to be accessible, first of all, anytime, anywhere. On the other side, to make improved and corrective actions. So with this framework in mind, this is where our solution that we will present to you today comes. So I would now like to leave the stage to Sebastiano and present you directly the next solution.
Okay, thanks a lot, Valeria, and thank you for joining. So we will continue the discussion that was started with the presentation this morning about the solution that we are offering under the umbrella Beyond Connected, and what it means for us to enable our solutions for sub-distribution to become safe, smart, and fully sustainable for the application where we can fit in. So let's have a look, and let's start again from the system architecture. So where we stand and what we want to share today, it's really how we intend to let the whole electrical distribution system become fully smart, fully intelligent, down to the last protected line, and so value what can be done in a sub-distribution and final distribution board, where all the loads can be monitored, optimized, controlled, and leverage that through our digital solutions that as ABB in electrification we are providing to our customers. So you see here a little bit how the overall structure looks like. For sure, we are already delivering a a fully connected solution for power center and main distribution. And what we are presenting today is how that can be fit into one common concept also for sub and final distribution. So the focus is there, and that's why we move to the next slide, where we highlight basically the content of what can be inside a typical sub-distribution board. So what are we going to monitor and how? So you see here several field devices. The field devices are typically the devices that you find in an application, a sub-distribution application. And the scope here is just through a reduced amount of new component to have the chance to simply get all the data connected in a central point and through all our digital solutions. So again, let's have a look to the field devices that we can connect. For sure, all the metering part is extremely important. We make sure that all the action related to billing, to analysis of cost sharing, cost allocation, but also power qualities can be collected. All the data can be gathered and be pulled into the core of the system. The core of the system is the central unit that you see at the center of the slide. It's a part of the range InSite Pro-M, and the name is SCU100, and that's the point of connection between the field devices and the digital solutions on top. Then let's have a look what else we have. For sure, also current measurement and measurement of each single branch is more and more important, because it gives the chance to understand exactly how the loads are split and how each single line is performing in the electrical distribution board. So altogether, this part make sure that the energy efficiency and the part of getting the information on energy consumption and performances of the system can be done smoothly, easily, with all the components directly recognized and connected to the digital system. But then we wanted to move forward, not only make sure that the energy management part is visualized, but also the fact that we can give full access and full control of the system through all the other devices in the system, which means that we are extending the portfolio, and we are making sure that the devices that are typically already there in an application, like protection devices, like miniature circuit breaker, like other components that typically can already share some data with you, and today can be done through accessories or through embedded communication means in the single device. They can be fully connected and be provided in the same system. So what we are saying here is that not only the energy part, but also all the information coming from other devices like pulse meter, surge protection devices, all the protection part, so miniature circuit breaker, residual current devices, everything, all the information that typically can come out from these devices can be stored into a common point and visualized through our digital solution that we see on top. We will have a deeper look into the digital solutions later. So, but you see here some blocks. We make sure on one side to be fully connected to the platform for commissioning, for selection of component, and then the platform that are used for energy and asset manager for the whole ABB electrification. So we make sure that the sub-distribution board can be fully connected to that part of our offering, but at the same time, we guarantee also the availability of a local web server, so fully dedicated to the sub-distribution board, that can give full access to the data, that can allow you to perform action, that can allow you to create and generate also automated action in the system, so that at the very end, our customer doesn't need to perform their action by themselves. Where we want to go beyond is really the concept of just saving and storing data. We want to make sure that these data are valued, they can match with each other, they can speak with each other in a common tool where then everything can generate also and get to automated action and simplify really the life of the customer in the applications. And finally, we don't leave it only to the ABB system, so we are fully open to the external world. We are fully open to any other system that is present in the applications like BMS or SCADA through our communication protocols. And finally, also, we are providing a REST API. So we want to make sure that this concept is really future-proofed and it's already capable to send out data directly, not only to the ABB cloud, but eventually also through the REST API also to third-party clouds. So this is the overview that we are giving to the system, and let's move forward to see more details and also how it fits in the application. So I mentioned here some of the concept behind the system, what is integrated in the system. Now here a couple of main concepts. First of all, it's really a plug and play installation, so you don't need to worry much about the complexity of that, because everything is automatically recognized by the core of the system, so the central unit. You don't need to do or perform complicated commissioning. You don't need to do programming. Everything is automated and set, but also at the same time allows the customer to have a full flexibility in the system, because you can physically create it as you prefer in the application. You don't have a fixed setup, but you can select what exactly you need, and you can combine the devices in the best way possible for your application. Then everything is, as I said, recognized in one touch. So there is really through one touch, you will have automatically all the ABB devices recognized, up and running in the system, and available for your analysis. And this gives you full access to the analysis that Valeria was sharing at the very beginning. So the scope of this solution, it's really comply with the energy efficiency standard, give access to the hidden information of your system, what you cannot see, but eventually can give you full access to a whole new level of values in your electrical distribution, to optimize it, to spend less in energy, to make sure that it fulfills the expectation that you have in terms of what to use and how and when during the day. So that's really the scope of having such a system in a typical sub-distribution environment. The system is really open and wide, because it can get up to more than 100 devices connected between sensors, I/O modules, and meters. And definitely it's perfect for any installation, new or old, because we make sure to be compatible also with third-party components, to save the data locally and eventually also through the cloud. Then let's move forward. We are not stopping only there, so we want also to help you in the selection and help you in the definition of your system. We are not only providing the components, but we are trying also to enter in the concept of providing pre-wired and ready-made kit that eventually take out the part of selection from you, because we have already selected some configuration that allows to execute some actions automatically, or collect information from the field, or eventually connect to the cloud. So the scope of having ready-made tools and ready-made kit here, it's really to give you access with one order code to make your sub-distribution smart. So we do that for you. You can make sure that the system can anyway be expanded. It can be, still keep its flexibility, but it's a starting point to easily make sure that through only one component you can make your sub-distribution fully smart and fully capable to do all what we are mentioning here. And then let's have a look better to the digital solution on top. So the part that I was mentioning before, the upper part of the architecture slide. So what are we offering to make sure that the full experience of the customer in an application, it's really perceived as digital from the beginning to the end. So let's have a look to the phases of a project typically. In the design and specification phase, what we are delivering in the market, it's the platform ABB Connect Partner Hub. It's a common platform through electrification where basically you have the chance to interact with us if you are a customer, and you can make sure to address any open question to us. You can make sure to have the chance to create your own environment where you can store your project, you can set them up, you can automatically define how the project looks like, because the platform itself is connected also to our specification and configuration tools. Also the configuration tool to generate a sub-distribution panel is fully linked there, and you accessing the Connect Partner Hub as a one point of access, you can make sure that you can perform all the action in the digital systems and configure and generate your project and use it for real, getting out even the BOM, the specification, and the details of the project. And then what happens when we have that done? So for sure you have to move to the installation and commissioning, and here we offer at least two levels for that. One, in case you have a wider system like the one that I presented in the first architecture slide, so you want to make sure that all the electrical system from ABB, from main distribution to sub-distribution, is fully commissioned. And here, through Equip Connect, we make sure that also the sub-distribution part is fully embedded, connected, automatically recognized in the systems that allows you to deliver, configure, and make fully up and running the whole digital system from main distribution to final distribution. So that's really important, the connection to the whole system, but nevertheless, if your application is like a small shop or a smaller building, an office building where you actually want to focus more on the sub-distribution part, we want to make sure that even if you don't have the full system from A to Z, you can also be sure that you can perform the full installation and commissioning of the system. How? The InSite web server, and we will have a closer look in a few seconds, can also serve as a commissioning tool for your digital system in the sub-distribution boards. You access there, you perform really few configuration, and the system is up and running. And finally, when everything is done, you want to see the data. So you want to see what's happening, you want to understand how to optimize, how you can perform maintenance, active maintenance, predictive maintenance even. How can we do that? We have also here two levels. Again, if you have the whole electrical system and you prefer to have the indication available through the cloud, then ABB Ability, Energy and Asset Management, it's really the offering that can fit for you. So either if you have a distributed location that you want to monitor at once, or you have a complex system that you want with several points of access in the same building. Let's assume you have several distribution board all around your application. Let's assume a large application like an airport, a railway station. Then how you can do that? You can make sure that everything is collected into our cloud platform. Again, the connection is already done. Through the commissioning process, you can make sure that also the sub-distribution part it's fully connected to our offering in terms of cloud solutions. And finally, again, if you are in the other situation, so more toward medium, small application where the web server of the sub-distribution board basically give you already all the indication, then from there you can perform, again, energy management, but not only, you can perform a full asset management because you have full access to the data of your devices. And finally, you can play with them, you can generate automated action, you can act in the field, and you can perform all the analysis that you want. to have a better understanding on that, as we are focusing on the sub-distribution today, let's have a look to the website, to the web server itself. So let's have a closer look there with this video. So the video, it's basically telling the story on how in a typical building application, which is really our target, you can make sure that the sub-distribution board in its own environment can actually send all the relevant data to whomever might be interested in the application itself. Could be energy manager, could be an asset or maintenance manager. And you see that it's really simple. You access, and everything that has been installed, it's actually visible at a glance through a really flexible dashboard based on widget that you can make sure to that you have the chance, basically, even if they are pre-configured, you can play with them, you can use them as you prefer. So you see all the data from the application are connected there and are collected in the system, from meters to current sensor to protection devices. You have a full understanding of your system really at a glance. But then we have spoken on how we can perform automation. And you see here the process to create an automated action. So something that basically gives you access to load shedding and load management is something that you can really do in a few seconds. So you see here, it's really the real process. If you know what to connect and to what else, so if you want here that a value from a meter gives basically an action to another part of the system, you link it through that process and everything is done. So fully automated action, completely available, and then they will run throughout the whole life of the system. But not only that, then there is the part of energy management. How can we do comparisons, understanding of how the system works? And here you have the answer. So there is a dedicated area where you can analyze the historical behavior of your system, where you can benchmark one device to another, where you can benchmark the same device over different time period, and everything is already set. So you basically build a system and you have full access to all this data that is typically with for energy manager and asset manager in the application, what you really need to have just in a small tool, the full access to all the information that you need. And you see here that finally the system can also be linked to your building as a management system to make sure that all the data are made available for you for any type of information and also everywhere. Then we spoke a lot about the technical analysis and the technical feature of the system. For us, it's a new part of our offering. We want to make sure that it's understood in its potential, but then it's also really important to explain how it can fit with real application. We have seen it from the first part of the presentation today. We are not missing any of our target and core application, especially in the building environment. So the flexibility of the system, the capabilities of the system give you full access to any type of application, from small commercial building to large commercial building, as well as special applications. So the capabilities of the system give access to data and gives full access to application like telecom applications, so substation that are in remote location, but also data center. It's key part of our offering, and all of them really can benefit from having a full knowledge of the performance in terms of energy and asset management. And as I said before, new installation, pre-existing one, it doesn't change that much. So the system is fully flexible. You can choose what you need and you can make sure that it fits through the application itself. And then let's have a look to a couple of examples before to finishing here today. So we have mentioned how it can fit in a building. Let's take an example that could be a commercial building, standalone or even a chains of store, for example, in different locations. So what are the typical needs there? In the phase of specification, end customer are really much aware on how the capabilities of the system nowadays needs to be monitored to fully access and react fast to event in the electrical system, to optimize the maintenance process. If you know from a digital system what's happening, then you can make sure to act accordingly with a proactive maintenance in the system. You can compare multiple locations to understand how one is performing compared to the other. And definitely, it's also important, this system is really fully part of the electrical distribution environment, and definitely its flexibility and the great interaction that can have with the energy distribution basket of product makes it easier to be installed, faster to be up and running. That's also, of course, reduce all in all from compared to traditional legacy systems, also the overall timing of setting, the overall hardware that you need to use, and that's, of course, can only be a benefit in the system. So you see here how the solution tailored for one specific application. So here you have an example of the system. Basically, it's a subset of what we have mentioned in the full architecture. You can select what you need, you can make sure that works in your application. And here, for example, a building is more focused to have energy meters to allocate cost in the application, to make sure that you can generate report to have this information available for you. But at the same time, you want to know if something is actually stop working, that you might not have an immediate view, and then you want to monitor also the MCB part. Additionally, also the gas and water meter can be connected. Typically, all the pulse meter that you have in the application can be gathered, used, and visualized from the web server, or eventually also connected, as I was mentioning before, through third-party systems or the ABB cloud, if you want to have full visibility of different locations. Finally, let's have a look to a different application, but at the very end, similar in terms of needs, even more stressed in terms of guaranteeing the reliability of the application. So let's have a look to a typical data center. Here, in the sub and final distribution board in a data center, typically you need to monitor the continuity first. So you need to make sure that events will not damage your application itself. And you want to do it at the whole level of the application. That's really important. Here, the single line monitoring in terms of consumption, but also if the system is up and running, is extremely important. And we make sure that that's possible both in a new system, or more and more we are also asked to retrofit when there are scheduled downtime existing systems, to make sure that step by step everything is fully digitalized and connected to the customer systems themselves. So here, as again, the architecture is deployed in one specific configuration, when again all the single line are monitored. They are mounted in our typical data center configuration that, if you know, our portfolio is based on the Smithline plug-in installation. And then with the central unit, by monitoring also power meter for the power quality, by monitoring the status of each single MCB, you can make sure that all the data related to possibility of downtime, optimization of consumption, split of cost among tenants, that's also becoming an important point in medium and smaller data center, are fully gathered in one point of access that can go to the ABB platform or to the customer platform. So that's another great example where we stand, where we can apply the solution that we are presenting today. And here we are getting, let's say, to the end of the presentation and the content. So again, thanks a lot for taking part to the webinar, and I will pass again to Valeria. the presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastiano, for sharing all this relevant information. Now, I would just like to share with all the attendees some useful links and material. Here we have the QR code to allow you to go directly to the dedicated webpage where you can find all the details. And in case you have any inquiry, you can also reach to us directly. So I would wish you a great day and thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.